Senator from Tennessee.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Senate will soon take up my resolution to nullify the revised Criminal Code Act recently passed by the D.C. Council, a measure that becomes more essential every day as the harrowing reports of lawlessness and deadly violence in our nation's capital steadily accumulate. Carjackings in D.C. have increased for 5 consecutive years and have more than tripled in the past 3 years. For the first time in 20 years, D.C. has experienced back-to-back years with more than 200 homicides. Car thefts are up 111% this year. It's gotten so bad that the city recently announced that it's giving away free steering wheel locks to owners of frequently stolen cars here in the district. Instead, how about just enacting laws that stop crime in the first place? Sadly, violent crime has become an epidemic in our nation's capital, where our constituents, Americans from across the country, and people from around the world come to live, come to work, and come to visit, from school children to World War II veterans. Yet unbelievably, despite escalating crime and palpable unease from all who visit or live in D.C., the D.C. Council recently passed legislation to reduce penalties and eliminate minimum sentences for violent criminal offenses, including carjackings, robberies, and even homicides. D.C.'s crime bill also dramatically expands jury trials in misdemeanor cases, which may sound good to a law school classroom, but in practice will overwhelm the system and force drop charges and crippling delays in countless criminal cases integral to preserving order and public safety. The D.C. crime bill reduces penalties on violent crime in the midst of a violent crime wave. It's the opposite of good policy and will make the crime wave even worse. It sends the wrong message that D.C. is not serious about fighting crime. D.C.'s own police chief recently concluded that one of the main reasons for rising crime in the district, especially among youth, is the perception among criminals that they will suffer no consequence. Yet the council proposes to reduce the consequences even further. Make no mistake, this D.C. crime bill will deliver the wrong results. Under these soft-on-crime policies, public safety will deteriorate further. This is common sense to most people. It should be no surprise, then, that Mayor Bowser recently vetoed the D.C. crime bill just this January. She said, and I quote, "This bill does not make us safer." I couldn't agree more. Yet putting woke ideology over public safety, the D.C. Council overrode the mayor's veto. That's why I'm bringing forth this resolution to block the D.C. crime bill. Washington is a federal district, and the Constitution puts Congress in charge of governing it. This makes sense. Countless Americans from all over the country visit our nation's capital each week to meet with their federal representatives and to enjoy our national history. Congress has a constitutional obligation to make sure these visitors can walk down the sidewalk or enjoy a meal without fear of becoming victims. This resolution passed with significant bipartisan support in the House of Representatives, and I'm confident that an even larger bipartisan majority of this body will support it tonight. Numerous law enforcement groups, including the D.C. Police Union, are supportive. Polling shows that 72% of D.C. residents believe that the D.C. crime bill sends the wrong message. A few weeks ago, the White House put out a statement of policy opposing my resolution, based on the President's support for D.C. statehood, I presume. But last week, the President indicated he would, in fact, support my resolution. I'm glad the President has recognized that Congress has a legitimate constitutional role in reviewing and in rejecting D.C.'s harmful legislation. To this point, given the now widespread recognition that this is a bad bill, imagine if Congress did not have the authority under the Constitution and the D.C. Home Rule Act to block D.C. laws. This dangerous bill would become law. Apparently, seeing the writing on the wall this week, the chairman of the D.C. Council cooked up a desperate and legally baseless ploy to unsubmit the bill to Congress in an attempt to avoid a vote of disapproval. But the D.C. Home Rule Act is clear. There's no valid action of this nature. No matter how hard they try, the Council cannot avoid accountability for passing this disastrous, dangerous, soft-on-crime bill. Violent crime has become an epidemic in America. This resolution is a referendum on it. Do you want to decrease jail time for violent criminals? Do you want to prioritize the interest of law-abiding citizens or the interest of criminals? This will be one of the only opportunities during this Congress for this body to send a broad message on violent crime, a message that may impact the safety and security of Americans throughout our nation. I appreciate that many of my colleagues have co-sponsored or indicated their support for this resolution, and I urge all of my colleagues to support it tonight. Stopping violent crime should not be a Republican or a Democrat objective. It should be a common sense one. I hope that the Senate sends that message today by adopting this resolution and by sending it to the President's desk. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield back all time.